Today we shall learn about the Saga of Sir John, the prophet of Thoric's faith. We begin our story in medieval England. This is not a golden Camelot, but this is also not the dystopia of those who despise the medieval era. This was a land of kings, knights, and tremendous ethnic conflict between Normans and Saxons, but most importantly, a land of faith. The Catholic Church did not oppress its peasants in service of the monarch. The king protected the peasants from outlaws, he gathered and organized everyone, and the Catholic Church ensured he would honor the peasants well. As for the commands of the Pope, all Christians are to be taken care of and respected, and no man of Christ could ever be stripped of his dignity. But the problem is that the Church believes there is no difference between doubting God, doubting Christ or the religion, and doubting the Church or the organization. This is no different from pagans in terms of idolatry, except one clear detail. Pagans admitted that they are idolaters who reject God. The Catholic Church, however, co-opt his name to serve their ego, live in wealth, and engage in degenerate acts, bludgeoning anyone who points out this hypocrisy. In real history, the Catholic Church once had a feast with supposedly honest prostitutes. In this feast, people engaged in wild proclivities. You can check it out on Wikipedia, but this is why I cannot endorse the Catholic Church in real life and why it won't be positively held in the Wolverse. Now, who is Sir John? He is a noble English knight who fought in the Crusades, pure of heart. He was not a purely religious Catholic, for while he did everything in the name of God, he cares little for the trappings of the church. And that was the initial problem of the Catholic Church. My faith in God remains pure. My faith in man grows dim every second. I demand time to rest in the monastery and think about this. Otherwise, I do not know if I would like to be called a Christian any longer. actually, Catholicism is true and based in red pills, so you shouldn't be asking questions, but okay. I'll give you that time to meditate as long as you read the Bible and say 666 Hail Marys, because you're kinda acting like satanic right now. Sir John, you just doubt us because you don't like being good. Remember to be generous, said the priest. So, Sir John set himself up in a monastery, because the priest, of course, gave him the opportunity to meditate, and in that monastery he prayed and fasted, neglecting even the most basic of sustenance. Throughout this time, his faith in God remained pure, but his contempt towards lavish priests and kings that protect nothing other than a standard worldview reached its breaking point. When he had enough, that was exactly when Thorak showed up. It was there when Sir John received a vision from Thorak, explaining the nature of the esoteric, and he found out that the Catholic Church is an extension of Alderin's will. And must be transcended to reach enlightenment. The greatest strength for him is simple. All questions he asked were valid. So Sir John began to spread this knowledge around all England, and writing it down in what he called the Book of Histories. Those who followed him weren't disaffected peasants suffering feudal oppression, but those who rejected the peasant mentality of conforming to false spirituality. Betraying Christ, you're becoming a Jew. Pogrom, 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 pogrom. No, you're being infected by demons who worship Thorak. You worship Thorak. No, not wholesome. That is the papal complaint. Jewish complaint. Pogrom? Not again. Oy vey. Now, problems facing the church. The Catholic Church was prepared to launch an inquisition in England to destroy Thorakians. It would be easier than real-life inquisitions, considering the fact that Thorakians were out in the open and didn't hide. But the problem was that Christians were being prosecuted in Muslim lands, and Sir John had promised not to persecute Catholics in their land. Such an inquisition would divide the resources of the church, and thus could not be justified. The church cared for its own. So Sir John decided to make a deal. He promised the Pope and King of England a simple chess match. If he wins, he is heard honorably. If he loses, he would convert to Catholicism voluntarily. The Pope demanded 6 chess matches, 3 against the King of England and 3 against the Pope. Sir John himself agreed and even promised to publicly recant his faith if he lost a single one of them. Now, the first 3 of the games were against the king. Sir John won against them. Well, Sir John won all of these matches. And the king, recognizing Sir John as a loyal knight, and honored his victories as the Pope seethed. But then in the 4th game, Ha 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 ha! I didn't promise you to a fair competition. Ha 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 ha! I beat you intellectually and maintained my honor. Now you have to become Catholic or else you're going against your word. Violent revolution is not okay, is it? Against the fair rules of this competition by changing it from a game of chess into a game of your choosing. A game neither Sir John, nor I, nor anyone else knows. You are not engaging in in a competition about chess, and thus your game is forfeit. Or you can continue competing in this composition. The king, the Catholic king, backed his knight. And Sir John, as the winner of all 6 games, simply demanded a fleet of ships to leave with his followers. That was it. Now Sir John developed a fleet of ships to sail across the Atlantic Ocean throughout North America. The journey was tough, but he eventually reached the land of Vinland. There he met Norse tribes, the continent's first natives, and settled to found the first Thracian communities. And now we witness a map of North America. And notice only here, there's a small territory marked in green that not even I can see that well. That is where the Thracians were. They did not own that land. They owned a portion of it. Now, Vinland had pagan Vikings, Christian Vikings, and Thracian settlers who got a small portion of the land. But Sir John married a local woman and had a son named Sven. Aside from occasional sparring, Vinland became a model of prosperity, a medieval New England. Now, when neighboring barbarians attacked, Vinlanders responded in 3 ways. Pagan Vinlanders joined the barbarians and assimilated into them, becoming no different from their conquerors. Christians fled to Europe and departed this frontier, but Sir John the men of Odin and icons absorb themselves into this land of free from it like cowards. Must we be like them? Nay, we shan't. We are men, followers of God and pioneers throughout this wild, untamed wilderness. If the savages take the riverbanks, then we must take the river. Sir Sven's journey was long and tiresome, crossing the Atlantic coastline, Mississippi River and Missouri River, to a magical lake near the end. This journey was celebrated as Hjernes, a Thracian holiday. And it is the Thracian equivalent to the High Holy Days. It is a time of fasting that ends with a large feast. Now, in the end of the journey, a small town was established called Udzalav. This was an ancient work of poetry for all Thracians, and even today it remains a site of pilgrimage for many religious people. Vast tomes of mystical knowledge is held here, but that city will not last forever. And finally, we shall conclude with two poems. Johannes Djorsknost, hos herremem vrensk das relkos, I folwensk das jales. Pareno ervin katlos terost, og Johan Roffetta katten sidzen vansk nishtøy. Katlos sorinska osar kreit und hareno paidasha selukjara lest zin I katata žepi Johan antarsen usen ženevdaš želkoži Remember, the Lord is the divine source of creation. He who is beyond all is beyond all. The honored, blessed, and great, most powerful, most beautiful, most wise, and most righteous, most loving, for he is love itself. Amen.